Welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our WWE Raw reactions. This episode was following last night's WWE Battleground. Myself and Retro Brett attended that. It was pretty epic. I have to say the match of the night was the Usos versus the Wyatt followers. What do you say, Retro? You agree?
No, I agree wholeheartedly. That was the best match of the night, and it surpassed my expectations greatly.
Yeah, definitely. Props to the Usos. Those guys are badass. I can't wait to see what they have next in store for us. I'm RJ, and joining us from South Beach, he is sitting on the beach looking at some teabags right now. C-Dub, what's going on, Corey?
Bienvenido a Miami, amigos. I am right here in South Beach, posted up in the 305. Huge episode of Monday Night Raw tonight from the American Airlines Arena. We got a ton of stuff to cover tonight, man. Triple H started off the show with a major announcement.
Yes, he said that he would announce who was going to face off with John Cena at SummerSlam. But the thing was, some people were coming out trying to convince him he didn't actually make his decision yet. We had to wait all the way till the end of Raw to find out what this year's SummerSlam WWE Championship main event would be. But that said, Triple H did start off the show. It was a great opening. Corey, what happened in that little session there where, like I said, some WWE superstars let it be known that they deserve the shot?
Well, yeah, Triple H basically said that he can wait until SummerSlam for the title to come back to the Authority and guarantee that Cena will not be champion after SummerSlam. But his question was who gets the chance? Randy Orton comes out, starts pleading his case for a one-on-one rematch for the title, since, of course, he never got his rematch from WrestleMania. Orton guarantees that he can take out Cena. Triple H says, well, Randy, you're the front runner, but I'm not sure. I'm going to let the entire roster try to impress me tonight before I make my decision. Basically, Orton went on to say that Kane didn't do his job at Battleground. Surely Triple H isn't considering him. Out comes Kane. He says he knows he can beat Cena and bring the title back to the Authority as long as he doesn't have to be Randy Orton's babysitter. That started a big, confrontation between Orton and Kane. Roman Reigns comes down, interrupts them, ends up making a case for himself as well, says nobody wants to see Cena versus Kane or Orton. Everybody wants to see Cena versus Reigns. That got a huge pop from the crowd, a big yes chant. Roman Reigns nailed Kane with a Superman punch out of nowhere. Randy Orton slides out. Triple H made the match right now. A handicap match, 2-on-1. Roman Reigns taking on Kane and Randy Orton. We saw Reigns and Orton started off, back and forth. The two big monsters, Kane and Roman Reigns, squaring off. Really, the two just sort of weared down on Reigns for most of the match. We heard a lot of "Let's Go Roman" chants as Roman was making a big comeback there. And I noticed the crowd was definitely booing whenever he got cut off. In the end, we saw Kane go to tag in Randy Orton, refuse the tag. Orton starts running his mouth. Kane grabs Orton by the throat. Kane, while he has his back turned, gets the Superman punch out of nowhere, gets up, spear. Roman Reigns wins to a huge reaction. Big victory starting off Raw. We saw Reigns then staring down Randy Orton, who backed down. Guys, that wasn't a great way to impress Triple H for the main event title shot at SummerSlam for Orton by backing away.
No, not at all. I gotta say, it showed some major kahunas for Roman Reigns to walk into the ring with the Authority there, Kane, Triple H, and Randy Orton. You'd think that there's a chance that perhaps Roman Reigns gets his ass kicked. Not the case. Roman Reigns showed his force, eventually was put into that handicap match. Wasn't fair, Brett, but he did come through with the victory.
Since when has the Authority been fair?
Never.
No, but Reigns sensed that there was some dissension in there. He knew he wasn't going to get his ass kicked. That wasn't going to happen. Randy Orton and Kane are they're feuding like little children, and Triple H is trying to play peacekeeper. So
I do want to say right here that I want Kane to kind of get away from the Authority. I want him to become more like the old school when they used to call him the Big Red Machine. Like, just become a force on his own, get away from the Authority. He can do it, man. He's a huge guy, and man, every time he does the tombstone pile driver, it's truly devastating. So hopefully we see Kane get away from this Randy Orton situation, unless he's just going to straight up kick his ass. I wouldn't mind that.
No one would.
So we saw Brie Bella make an appearance after her sister Nikki got her ass kicked. She was also involved in a handicap match. Some interesting things happened there with Brie Bella, Corey. What did you think about that?
That was pretty crazy. Of course, that Stephanie McMahon announced a 4-on-1 Divas handicap match. Alicia Fox, Rosa Mendez, Cameron, and Eva Marie against Nikki Bella. Of course, as punishment for Brie. Decent reaction for Nikki tonight. Of course, we saw Brie Bella then seated at ringside. Immediately, Stephanie McMahon comes out to confront Brie Bella face-to-face. We get the obligatory yes chants. I was really surprised at how good of a reaction we saw. Stephanie went on to say that Nikki getting beat up tonight is all Brie's fault. Brie then went on to call Stephanie McMahon a bitch. Stephanie demands security to eject Brie Bella. Brie grabs the mic from Stephanie, calls her a vindictive bitch for good measure on the mic so everybody can hear it. And then Stephanie McMahon slapped Brie Bella, which, of course, Brie is not under contract in storyline. She's just a ticket-holding fan. We ended up seeing Nikki get her ass kicked pretty quick, beat down by all four. Alicia Fox gets the pin. Guys, I thought Stephanie McMahon really looks great as this villain. Do you guys think maybe she gets the natural talent from her dear old daddy Vince?
At first, I thought she wasn't doing a good job, but I think she has gotten better over time, too. Like you kind of mentioned, Corey, she did a fantastic job today. We had some more events that would show it off a little bit more upcoming, because Corey mentioned she slapped Brie Bella. There might be some repercussions from that, Brett.
I think she's a better villain than her husband, Triple H. And that's saying something.
I disagree here, but, I see what you're saying.
Women can be more vindictive than men.
Oh,
Much more.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think all three of us know that far too well. This was a pretty interesting match here. Bo Dallas versus LeBron James. Of course, after he left Miami for Cleveland, we know he's a huge athlete, so that was a major battle. Of course, Bo Dallas, this guy is so inspirational. He was able to overcome defeating LeBron James, a huge MVP in the NBA. So, big-time victory for Bo Dallas. Congratulations to him. The question I have for you, C-Dub, Bo Dallas is also undefeated. Rusev also himself is undefeated. Perhaps could we see a Bo Dallas versus Rusev undefeated showdown one day?
Well, as long as Bo continues to leave and continues this winning streak, I mean, certainly anything is possible. We saw Bo get the win tonight, pinfall over Damian Sandow as LeBron James. He ended up getting a pretty good reaction tonight, I guess, because of the fact that he was fighting Damian Sandow wearing the LeBron James Miami Heat jersey. Bo reminds me a lot of Kurt Angle as a rookie. Obviously they're building this streak up a little bit. Time will tell what happens for Bo, but in the meantime, he's starting to kind of, gaining a little bit of favor, I feel like. I've certainly been a big proponent of his from the start. He's pretty entertaining to me. He's so cheesy. He plays the role up perfect. I don't know. Retro Brett, what do you think about his, as far as the growth of Bo Dallas? Where do you think Bo Dallas will be 1 year from now?
Retro, are you a Bo-lever?
Hell no. I hate that guy. Like I said, actually I would like to see him face Rusev and get his ass kicked. Maybe his back broke. No, that's a horrible thing to say. I'm sorry.
Going the way of Batman from The Dark Knight Rises.
No, but he's getting a little more popular, and he's growing on me a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think he's a guilty pleasure for a lot of us, and there's a lot of Bo-levers out there. He certainly has a following. And I think some of it has to do with the fact that he is a decent wrestler here. His finisher, the running Bodog, is definitely a pretty sick move. He did pull it off today on Damian Sandow, who was, of course, dressed as LeBron James. The next match, well, it really wasn't a match, actually. It was supposedly a Jericho highlight reel. Chris Jericho highlight reel. Pretty epic considering Chris Jericho has a lot of highlights to be shown, but it did not go down. Corey, what happened?
Yeah, you know, this was all built up during the commercial, actually, after the Bo Dallas match on the WWE app, which I happened to be watching. Y2J was doing an interview backstage with Tom Cole in the locker room. He said that Bray Wyatt's the type of guy he expects to kind of pop up from behind him when he's not looking, maybe like a Michael Myers or something. And just as he said that, we saw Bray and the Harper and Rowan, the two Wyatt followers, come in. There was a sort of a stare down there for a minute. Jericho went right after Wyatt, but got beat down quickly. Bray Wyatt picks up Chris Jericho and gives him the Sister Abigail into the lockers. Pretty brutal here, guys. Jericho was knocked out. It looked great, you know, as far as the way that they shot it. Wyatt then went on to say before he left, sooner or later, Chris, they all fall down. And then back where we came back from the break. You know, we had it had been announced earlier in the night that we would have a highlight reel segment with Chris Jericho, of course, hosting his talk show, The Highlight Reel, with Bray Wyatt as his guest. And the whole set was set up, but you know, when the announcers mentioned what happened with as far as Jericho and Bray Wyatt comes out, tells us, you know, where is this man who was supposed to save you? Jericho isn't here, but Wyatt is here for all of them. He showed us, you know, everything that he has done, basically. You know, talked about all of his accomplishments over Jericho, and he told us that a loss in a battle means nothing to him, as the war is what counts, the long run. Bray was really on a roll here, guys. I feel like he's one of the best on the mic in the WWE. After this little promo, we saw Jericho getting some medical attention after Bray Wyatt exited. I got to think this feud is not over, and we're definitely going to see a huge culmination, probably at SummerSlam, guys. What do you think?
I mean, I think we all knew something was up when we heard that Chris Jericho's special guest for his highlight reel was going to be Bray Wyatt, of all people. That's not going to work out good. But it seems as if the feud's going to continue, Retro.
Oh, yes. I actually expect it to go into Survivor Series, maybe. I don't think it's going to be a two-match rivalry. I think it's going to go a little further than that.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Jericho really impressed us last night, so it'll be interesting to see what they have next in this feud and who comes out on top. All right, guys, The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. This was pretty cool for us here at Trippy Commentaries because our guy, Dolph, managed to pull off the victory against the much-hated The Miz. Corey, what'd you think about that match?
It was huge. We saw, you know, the new Intercontinental Champion last night, The Miz. He eliminated Dolph Ziggler out of nowhere after kind of laying low in the Battle Royal to win the title. We saw a great reaction for Ziggler tonight. A lot of "This is awesome" chants. You know, the crowd was super into it for all the near falls for Dolph Ziggler. Not so hot for The Miz. I do got to give props to The Miz. He is really, really hateable, and it's good for him to be in the villain role against Dolph Ziggler, a guy who seems like no matter what he does, he's super over with the crowd everywhere he goes. He's great in the ring. So of course, Ziggler got the pinfall victory here in a non-title match. You know, me personally, I'm really hoping that this feud continues going forward, maybe into SummerSlam. I kind of surprised myself by saying that I'm actually looking forward to seeing The Miz on my TV. I'm really not, though. I do want to see Dolph Ziggler capture the Intercontinental title. Retro Brett, do you think Ziggler has the Intercontinental Championship gold in his near future?
I don't know about near future, maybe a couple months away. I don't know why, but they're going to keep it on Miz for a little while because, I mean, this goes back to what Corey's saying. He was the most must-see WWE champion of all time, so, or in his own mind.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to call it, at least.
No, but yeah, he is very, very hateable. He's very annoying, so that's all good things. But Ziggler is just as popular in a good way, so.
Yeah, good point. I hate to say it, but I agree with you, Retro Brett. I think that, I mean, I hate to say it because they're probably going to keep the title on The Miz for a while. I don't want that to happen, but it looks to be that way. We'll see what happens at SummerSlam because we'll be talking about that a lot as it gets closer and closer. Cesaro came out and he said to Triple H that he is the guy. He wanted to impress him, and he thinks that he's the guy who can take out Dean Ambrose once and for all and possibly get a title shot against John Cena. Of course, this was in that buffer time where Triple H is trying to figure out who's his guy. It seemed like maybe Randy Orton was his favorite at that point, but Cesaro kind of got what he wished as far as a chance to impress Triple H by getting a match with Dean Ambrose. I don't know about you guys. I was really looking forward to that. What'd you think about that announcement, C-Dub?
Oh, that was huge. You know, it started off with Triple H basically telling Seth Rollins, who has the Money in the Bank contract, that he doesn't need to face Cena at SummerSlam. He needs to lie in wait. He needs to not have his cards out on the table, and he needs to make sure and just, you know, strike when the time is right. So it seems like we're going to see Rollins hold on to the briefcase a while, maybe. Of course, Rollins went on to say that it's, you know, that works out because Ambrose is screwing up all of his cash-ins. If they really want to be able to cash in effectively, they're going to have to stop Ambrose for good. And then, of course, as you said, Cesaro showed up, mentioned the fact that he's no longer having the managerial services of Paul Heyman, and he now, instead of being a Paul Heyman guy, wants to be an authority guy. Of course, that led to Seth Rollins confronting Cesaro and saying, you know, I'm the guy, you know, I'm the next in line. Triple H gave Cesaro that match later on that night against Dean Ambrose, which I thought, you know, as we're probably going to get into in part 2 of Raw Reactions, that was probably the match of the night as far as I consider it.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it was kind of the main event, of course. There was something that happened after that, but I was really looking forward to that match. It was two of my favorite wrestlers. I love Cesaro, love Dean Ambrose. Huge clash of two different types of fighters. So we'll be breaking down that match in part 2. Here's something that happened that I thought was pretty huge. It was in the Divas division, but it was still something I've been waiting for. I was happy to see it as a Paige fan. We should mention Paige and AJ Lee teamed up to defeat Emma and Natalya, but nobody cares about that. What happened afterwards was where the fireworks went off. Paige finally turned. She finally turned into, I guess, a heel here. She turned into a badass, took AJ Lee by the hair, and kicked her ass. Finally, we saw the fire come out of Paige. Anything to note from that little event there, Corey? What do you think that means for the Diva Championship?
Oh, man, I think this Paige as a villain seems like a much more natural fit. They had a little post-match celebration for a minute. Paige snapped, beat the crap out of AJ. Paige was screaming and just really in a huge fit. The crowd was already giving her a better reaction than previously. She tossed AJ into the barricade numerous times at ringside, and actually over the announce table, Michael Cole was calling for the doctor to help AJ. Paige screaming her lungs out. RJ, what's up with your girl Paige here, man? She's going nuts. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think I kind of like it.
Oh, I love it. I was pretty high on her before, and now I think I might become a stalker for Paige. She is that sexy, and her turning into an evil, kind of looking like an evil witch. Those of you who remember Hocus Pocus, maybe something perhaps from that, only a wrestler. What do you think about that turn, Retro Brett?
Well, anyone who listens knows that I've never been an AJ fan. I don't like her. So, actually, I enjoyed Paige kicking her ass, and I'm looking forward to this feud in the future. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and to be real about this is probably what Paige needs to take back that Divas title, which is something I want to happen. Wasn't going to happen on the route it was going, but I think this turn is probably going to put her in the right direction.
Like Xavier Woods said later in the night, you don't get very far by kissing babies and sucking up. You have to be the bad guy.
Well said, Retro Brett. One quick match we'll end off on here for part 1, guys. Make sure to stay tuned for part 2 because there is a monster announcement that happened, and it directly correlated with who would fight John Cena for the championship at SummerSlam. But Zack Ryder did defeat Fandango. Corey, is there anything you want to say about this obviously epic match?
No, I'll touch on that quickly. It was the battle of guys who can't get over and stay over. Zack Ryder got the win. came out with Summer Rae and Layla. That feud continues. As Retro Brett alluded to, we did see a big tag team match between Ryback and Big E and Kofi Kingston. Ryback got the win over Kofi and Big E, who looked pretty disappointed. Xavier Woods then comes out in a suit, tells Kofi and Big E it's time for a change, it's time for them, no more kissing babies, sucking up to the people. It seems like these guys are kind of teasing maybe some sort of alliance, maybe a change of heart, maybe being more villainous. Guys, I'm all for seeing these three guys together. They're all three great young talents.
Yes, absolutely. We will make sure to touch on that tag team a little bit more in the future. Thank you guys for joining us for part 1. We will see you in part 2. Like I said, there's a huge announcement and a huge match between Cesaro and Dean Ambrose. We'll see you guys there.